Welcome guys. In this video we talk about the mechanism of the breathing. Okay, we talk about the mechanism of the breathing, we talk about the inhalation, what is inhalation, how it happens, and we also talk about the exhalation. Okay, what's the process of the exhalation and what happens in exhalation, okay, or expiration. So stay with me and know about this topic. First of all, we label here are the diagram of the lungs. We label it first of all, then we talk about further the inhalation, we talk about the exhalation. Okay, so first of all we label it. Here are present the first part, this upper part, this it's called larynx. Okay, so the larynx. Now the below part, this pipe like structure, it's called trachea. Okay, the first one is larynx and the second one is trachea. Now come here, we talk about the layers which is present in the lungs. What is the name of these layers? Okay, so the first layer, the inside layer of the lungs, it's called visceral layer or visceral pleura. Okay, the inside layer of the lungs, that's called the visceral layer, or we can say visceral pleura. Okay, the second layer, the outermost covering of these lungs, the outer layer, it's called parietal layer or parietal pleura. Okay, there are two layers present. The first one is visceral layer, okay, or visceral pleura, and the second one is parietal pleura or parietal layer. Okay, so there are present the space in these two layers. In between there are a hollow like this, hollow shape, this hollow like thing, or the shape which is filled by actually a fluid. Okay, the fluid is nothing that allows the sliding with each other. The two layers allow to the sliding with each other. Okay, they represent the fluid. This is the fluid, and this cavity it's called pleura cavity. Okay, I hope you understand it. Let's repeat it again. The first one is larynx and the pipe like structure, it's called trachea, and there are two layers present in the lungs. The first one is the inside layer of the lungs, that's called the visceral layer or visceral pleura, and the second layer, the outermost covering or outermost layer, that's called the parietal layer or parietal pleura. Okay, so there are present inside between two layers there are a space that's called pleura cavity, or there are cavity like structure, that's called a pleural cavity. The pleural cavity, it's nothing, there are present a fluid which allows actually sliding with each other. Okay, the two layers. Now come here, there are the dome shaped muscle. If you want to understand the mechanism of the breathing, you need to understand only two things here. Okay, two things only. If you understand those two things, you can understand the whole mechanism of the breathing. Okay, the first one, there are two muscles, especially there are two muscles, you need to understand that. The first one, this dome like shape, this curved like, it's a diaphragm. Okay, this is the diaphragm, this dome shaped muscle. It's a one muscle. You need to understand what's the function of this muscle, so you need to so you understand the whole mechanism. Okay, the first one is diaphragm. Okay, this is the below the this present below the lungs. Okay, it's one. So here are come to the next diagram. It's the first one, this is the second one. As I show here, this is the diaphragm, this is the one muscle. Okay, here are the another things here, the pipe like this, these pipe like things, actually these are not the pipes, these are the ribs. These are the ribs covered to the lungs. Okay, these are the ribs, which is actually the protection covering of these lungs. Okay, it's nothing, it's actually these are the protection cover. Okay, so these are the ribs, these are the ribs. In between ribs here, come here, this in between ribs there are present the another muscle that's called intercostal muscle. Okay, it's the second one muscle. These muscle you need to understand. The first one is diaphragm and the second one is intercostal muscle. You need to only these muscles to understand the function of these muscles, then you understand the whole mechanism of the breathing. Okay, the first one is diaphragm, which is below the lungs. Okay, the intercostal muscle, which is between present in the ribs. Okay, these are the ribs, there are present the intercostal muscles. These are the intercostal muscles. Here I come to the third diagram. What's happening? It is these are actually ribs. Okay, these are ribs. These are the back. This is the backbone. This backbone, and this is the front bone. The backbone vertebra, and this is the front bone, the sternum. Okay, this is the backbone, and this is the front bone, sternum, and this is the vertebra. Okay, so these are the ribs. Inside the ribs, okay, there are the cavity. This is the cavity. This is called the thoracic cavity, where the lungs are actually present. Okay, so this is the thoracic cavity. Okay, this is the thoracic cavity, and these ribs are connected to the backbone. Okay, backbone, there are present the another bone that's called the sternum, and this sternum is connected to the ribs. Okay, there are the ribs. These are the ribs, and this is and these ribs are connected to the backbone, and there are present the cavity like structure of the cavity is known as the thoracic cavity, and between the thoracic cavity there are present the lungs. Okay, these are the lungs. There are also the diaphragm. Now we talk about the inhalation. Now we talk about the first of all inhalation, then we talk about the exhalation. I hope you understand these things betterly. So come to the first of all, we talk about the inspiration, or we talk about the inhalation. What happens in inspiration? Actually, there are in between the lungs there are a pressure. There are present the pressure. Okay, so the pressure is called intrapulmonary pressure. What is the job of this pressure? I will talk about this. There are present the pressure that's called the intrapulmonary pressure. Okay, what happens in inhalation? What happens when we take the oxygen inside the lungs? What happens when we take the air? All gases. Suppose these are the cases. When we take them, what happens? This dome-shaped muscle. Okay, this dome-shaped muscle that's called the diaphragm. Okay, this dome-shaped diagram, and there are present the ribs. Only you need to understand these two things. If you understand these two things, you understand the mechanism of this inspiration and as well as expiration. What happens when we take the oxygen? Okay, the oxygen comes now inside the lungs. Suppose this is the O2, the O2, or air. This dome-shaped muscle. Okay, this dome-shaped muscle, it expands. Okay, here like this, it expands. It gives the space. Same thing, the intercostal muscle expands. Okay, it bulges out. This dome-shaped muscle, it goes below like this. It goes like, if they are present in original position, in a relaxed position, it is present like this. But when we take the air, when we take the gas inside the lungs, what happens? The dome-shaped this muscle goes look like this. Okay, it looks like plan. Okay, actually it gives the space to the lungs. Okay, it expands our thoracic cavity system. It expands when we take the air inside the lungs. This cavity expands, or it bulges out. Okay, so these muscles, the intercostal muscles, and this diaphragm muscle, it actually gives the space to the lungs. Okay, the lungs expands then very freely. So it is process in inspiration. When we take air, the two muscles, the two important muscles, give the space to the lungs. Okay, the first one is intercostal muscles, and the second one is diaphragm. What happens? There are present the interpulmonary pressure. The interpulmonary, when we inspirate, or when we inspire, when the process of the inspiration, process of inspiration, what happens? This pulmonary pressure drops, it decreases. Okay, this pulmonary, it decreases actually. So when it decreases inside the lungs, the outer gas comes inside the lungs. Okay, if the pulmonary pressure increases, so what happens? We will talk about that. So but in inspiration case, or in inhalation process, this pulmonary pressure decreases. Okay, it decreases inside the lungs, and the outer gas comes inside the lungs. So it's like that, the gas comes higher concentration to the lower concentration, because there are lower concentration of pressure, so the outer gas comes inside the lungs. It is the process in inspiration or inhalation. Okay, so these two muscles give the space to the lungs free, and the lungs can bulge it very freely. These two muscles expand. Okay, it gives a space to the lungs. So it is the process in the inspiration. Now we talk about the expiration. What happens in expiration, and what is the role of these muscles in expiration? What happens actually in expiration? There are the muscles, as I said, there are this is the diaphragm. This is the diaphragm muscle, and there are also present intercostal muscles. So these two muscles come now original position. It comes and now these two muscles comes now in its original position, and this intrapulmonary pressure, when these two muscles comes now in its original position, this intrapulmonary pressure increases inside the lungs. When this pulmonary pressure increases, so the gas comes out, or the gas goes out. Okay, so what is the role of the expiration? The two muscles in these two muscles, the intercostal muscles and the diaphragm. In expiration, what happens in these two muscles comes now in its original position. When it comes into its original position, the pulmonary pressure increases, and the gas goes out. Okay, in inspiration, the volume of this lungs increases and the pressure decreases. Okay, when the volume of lungs increases, when we inhale the air, the volume of lungs increases, the pressure decreases. Okay, which is present inside the lungs, the intrapulmonary pressure, the pressure decreases and the volume increases. But in this case, the volume decreases. Okay, the volume comes in its original position, the pressure increases, and the gas goes out. Okay, so it was about the breathing mechanism. So I hope you understand it very badly. If you have any question about this, you can ask me in a comment box. I will give you a reply as soon as possible. So I hope you like this video, share this video, comment this video. Thank you.